Hello, beautiful Libra. Today's message is not a prediction, it's a divine reminder. Certain days in your life have already been chosen. They were marked for you long before you were even born. And now, those days are approaching. The reason you're here right now isn't coincidence. It's confirmation. This video is a mirror reflecting back the truth your soul already knows, that you are being called into alignment with moments that will define your purpose. Everything you've gone through, everything you've overcome, has been preparing you for the chapter you're about to enter. Let me ask you something. Have you recently felt a strange sense that life is about to shift but you can't explain why? Maybe you've noticed certain people leaving your life. Or perhaps your intuition has gotten sharper, your thoughts clearer. That's not anxiety. That's not your imagination. That's your spirit recognizing that divine timing is near. Here at Zodiac Whisper Tarot, we believe timing isn't random. It's sacred. And for Libra, the sign of harmony, elegance, and truth, your divine calendar includes moments where your inner peace becomes a force of transformation for the world. These moments won't arrive with fireworks or alarms. They will unfold naturally, gently like you always do, and when they do, you'll know, this is the moment my soul was waiting for. So pause for a second. Feel your breath. Tune in. Because you're not just watching a video, you're stepping into sacred alignment. The universe isn't testing you, it's preparing to reveal who you've been all along. I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude for your presence here. Every view, every like, every comment you share, and every time you subscribe, you're not just supporting Zodiac Whisper Tarot. You're choosing to walk deeper into your own spiritual awareness. And it means more than you know. Your energy moves this channel. Your growth is what we're here to nurture. And trust me, Libra, you'll want to stay with me until the very last moment of this video. Because what the universe is about to reveal will resonate so deeply, it may bring you to tears, the good kind. The kind that comes when you finally understand, you were never lost. You were always being led. Now tell me, what brought you here today? What signs or synchronicities have been showing up in your world lately? Leave a comment below with an angel number you've been seeing, whether it's 222, 444, or something else entirely. These aren't random. They're signals. Markers on your divine path. When you share them, you not only claim the message for yourself, you help guide other Libras who may be seeking the same confirmation. So take a deep breath, open your heart, and let's step into these marked days together with clarity, courage, and trust in what's already been written for you. Sometimes the signs don't show up as lightning bolts or loud awakenings. Instead, they come as quiet clarity, a feeling in your chest that something is aligning, a soft certainty that you've reached a point that was always meant for you. You may not have realized it before, but your life has followed a kind of map, one not drawn with ink and paper, but shaped through experience, intuition, and divine order. For Libra, whose essence is balance, grace, and sacred discernment, this moment isn't random. It's a key turning point, one that has been quietly waiting in the folds of time for your arrival. If you were born between September 23rd and October 2nd, you've likely felt the weight of being the peacemaker, the one who listens deeply and sees the truth in both sides. Your upcoming days of destiny aren't just about resolution, they're about elevation. You will find yourself standing in the middle of discord, not to fix everything, but to reflect a higher frequency of understanding. You become the calm in the chaos not because you try to be, but because you already are. Others will sense this and gravitate toward you not for answers, but for presence. For those born between October 3rd and 12th, your gift is your eye for beauty but not the surface kind. You see the harmony between shape, sound, and emotion. These marked days are not just about artistic recognition, they are moments where your creations or your voice will become vessels for healing. What was once private will be asked to step into the light, not for praise, but because the world needs the vibration only you can bring. You are not simply creating beauty, you are translating healing into form. And if your birthday falls between October 13th and 22nd, the air around you has likely begun to shift already. Old attachments may be falling away not by force, but through quiet release. You're no longer trying to fix or hold together what drains you. That's not selfish. That's sacred growth. These marked days are gateways. As you let go, you step into a new level of freedom, and that freedom will become a mirror for others to liberate themselves too. Your healing becomes a silent permission for others to do the same. When people say, "Everything happens for a reason," it can feel cliché. But what if the reason isn't about understanding, it's about preparation? What if all the moments you felt unseen, misunderstood, or exhausted were quietly refining you for the clarity that's arriving now? The path you've walked wasn't just survival, it was calibration. Every hard conversation, every time you held your tongue, every time you chose peace instead of power, it was building the inner strength you'll need to step fully into these marked days. And here's something worth remembering: you don't need to push or prove. You don't need to manufacture a breakthrough. When God prepares a table for you, you don't have to pull up your own chair, it's already waiting. What's required from you now is not performance, but presence. Sometimes, being chosen doesn't mean doing more, it means trusting more. Trusting that who you are in your natural, kind, balanced essence is already the doorway to everything meant for you. So ask yourself gently, are you willing to release what no longer honors your calling, so you can finally walk fully into the role you were born to fulfill? Let that question guide you as we go deeper. The answers aren't out there. They're already within you, and they've been waiting for this very moment to rise. It's often in the quietest of moments that the universe speaks the loudest. Not through words, but through rhythm, through subtle repetitions that seem to nudge at your awareness until you finally pause and say, "I've seen that before." Numbers, when they begin to appear in patterns, are not simply mathematical coincidences. They're cosmic codes, soft but persistent invitations for you to look closer, to remember something your soul already knows. For Libra, a sign attuned to balance, alignment, and inner symmetry, these numbers serve not as predictions, but confirmations that something inside you is syncing with something far greater. Take 222, for instance. It's a number often tied to harmony and partnership, but for Libra, it resonates even deeper. This number arrives when you're being reminded to return to your center, not the version of balance that pleases others, but the one that feels true to your core. When you keep seeing 222, it's a gentle but firm reassurance that you don't have to rush decisions, and you don't need to compromise your peace to maintain appearances. Balance isn't about keeping everything equal, it's about holding what matters and letting go of what doesn't. Then there's 444, a number that carries with it the frequency of protection. Think of it as a divine exhale, a shield made of quiet strength. If you've been feeling uncertain or unsteady, this number is a sign that you are not as alone as you think. Even in your silence, even in your doubt, you are being watched over. And sometimes the most powerful form of guidance is simply knowing that someone, somewhere seen or unseen, is helping you stand when you're tired of standing alone. 717 is more than just a symmetrical sequence. It marks the point where one story ends and another begins, but not in a loud, disruptive way. Instead, it comes with the energy of gentle closure. If this number has been showing up for you, it could be that you're walking out of a phase where you were learning deep internal lessons that shaped your patience, your boundaries, your ability to choose wisely. Now, with a door closing, a new path opens. But here's what's sacred: the path doesn't require you to reinvent yourself. It simply invites you to walk forward as the version of you that no longer doubts your worth. And then, there's the number 9, a number of endings, yes, but also of divine preparation. When you keep encountering 9, it may mean that something in your life is being lovingly wrapped up, even if it feels painful. It's the kind of ending that arrives with purpose. Sometimes, what leaves your life isn't a punishment, it's protection. It's the clearing out of space that your future needs in order to take root. And if you feel like you're in the in-between, where one chapter is closing and the next hasn't fully begun, remember, growth often happens in silence. In those moments when you see repeating numbers, instead of brushing them off as coincidence, pause. Breathe in. Breathe out. And say quietly to yourself, I accept my role in this unfolding. I am ready. This simple act is more than just ritual, it's a conscious agreement between you and the higher rhythm you're aligning with. It's a way of saying yes, not only to the universe, but to yourself. And you don't need to force anything. You don't need to rush clarity. Sometimes, being still with intention is more powerful than chasing answers. You were not meant to navigate life without signs. You were meant to notice, to remember, and to return to what has always been within you. So if you've been seeing these numbers lately, take it not as a warning but as a whisper that says, you're on the right path. Keep going. Sometimes what you need to hear the most doesn't come from outside advice or analysis. It rises quietly from within you, like a memory you forgot you carried. That's the essence of the energy revealed by the High Priestess, a reminder that your greatest answers don't lie in logic or outside validation, but in stillness. When this card appears, especially for Libra, it is not just a spiritual nudge. It is a call to listen without rushing, to trust your inner knowing even when your outer world feels unclear. The High Priestess is ruled by the moon, the keeper of cycles, emotions, and intuition. This is not about emotional chaos, it's about emotional wisdom. And that kind of wisdom only comes when you slow down enough to hear it. Libra is a sign of air, ruled by Venus, deeply mental, often seeking fairness, harmony, and understanding. But what happens when your mind pulls you in two directions at once? That's where the Two of Swords enters. It shows a figure with two blades crossed over their heart, blindfolded, suspended between decisions. It's not about being indecisive, it's about feeling paralyzed between what seems right and what feels right. This card doesn't ask you to decide instantly. It asks you to become honest with yourself. During Venus retrograde energy, a period tied to the Two of Swords, relationships, values, and attachments come up for review. Not to punish you, but to give you space to ask, is this still aligned with who I am now? You're not being asked to fight. You're being asked to pause long enough to recognize that indecision is also sacred space. Then we meet Temperance, a card that feels like home for any Libra. It's the embodiment of what you were born to model, the art of balance, the beauty of healing without force, the ability to blend extremes into something meaningful. Temperance doesn't demand perfection, it reflects patience. It doesn't rush healing, it honors the process. For Libra, whose energy can often be pulled in different directions trying to make peace for others, this card is a quiet mirror. It reminds you that balance doesn't come from pleasing everyone. It comes from honoring your center. Astrologically, this card is linked to Sagittarius, a fire sign seeking truth. But truth, when filtered through Libra's gentle lens, becomes something graceful, not dogmatic. Temperance teaches that it's not about controlling the flow. It's about becoming a clear channel within the flow. What ties these three cards together is not just spiritual symbolism, it's a personal roadmap. First, listen inward, High Priestess. Then, trust the discomfort of being in between, Two of Swords. Finally, live in the rhythm of patience and grace, Temperance. This pattern is especially significant now, as we move through timelines where collective energy is shifting rapidly, and clarity seems to come in waves instead of instructions. You are not meant to rush your decisions or silence your own voice just to maintain temporary harmony. You are being invited to choose with depth, to wait with faith, and to act with alignment. And maybe, just maybe, this is the season where God isn't asking you to take on more, but to take less noise, less pressure, less comparison, so that you can hear what's always been steady underneath it all. He isn't hiding the answers from you. He's placing them within the pauses you resist. In the stillness, he restores balance. In the slowness, he reminds you, you're not late, you're being aligned. So the next time you feel torn between your head and your heart, come back to that quiet place where truth whispers, not in fear, but in clarity. If you've ever felt that strange calm in the middle of your confusion, the kind of peace that doesn't make sense but feels deeply right, trust that. It's not an illusion. It's confirmation. And if that resonates, go ahead and comment below, I am the keeper of balance. Let yourself declare it. Because sometimes, acknowledging who you are is the first step toward becoming everything you're meant to be. Not everything you need to feel more aligned requires a grand gesture or a dramatic change. Sometimes, the most powerful shifts begin with the softest choices, like the colors you surround yourself with. Energy moves through frequency, and color is one of the simplest and most accessible frequencies we interact with every day. For Libra, a sign ruled by Venus and attuned to beauty, grace, and relational harmony, the colors you choose aren't just aesthetic preferences, they're emotional tools. They speak to your nervous system. They remind you, gently, of who you are and the balance you're here to restore. Turquoise, for instance, carries the energy of clear communication. Not the kind that tries to persuade or perform, but the kind that helps you speak from a place of inner peace. It softens the edges of self-expression, clears tension in the throat space, and invites you to say what's true without needing to over-explain. When you wear it, whether in clothing, accessories, or even as a background color on your phone, it can help calm emotional charge and open space for real connection. Turquoise is a color of both clarity and compassion, and for Libra, who often holds both their own truth and the emotions of others, it becomes a gentle anchor. Nude tones, especially soft beiges or ivory shades, help you return to stillness. They are grounding without being heavy, elegant without being loud. These colors remind you that presence doesn't require performance, it asks only that you show up as yourself. When the world feels overstimulating or you're pulled in too many directions, surrounding yourself with calming, neutral hues can support your nervous system and encourage inner neutrality, a state where you are not pushed or pulled, but simply whole. For a Libra who often finds themselves mediating or balancing between energies, this is an energetic refuge. Then there is pink, not the loud, fluorescent kind, but the gentle blush that opens the heart. This color aligns with your heart chakra, which governs love, empathy, forgiveness, and connection. Rose tones hold the vibration of softness and emotional safety. When you wear or carry pink energy, you're creating an energetic invitation to give and receive love without fear. It reminds you that vulnerability is strength and that tenderness is a form of wisdom. In seasons where your heart feels guarded, this is a color that can help melt the protective layers and reconnect you with your capacity to feel deeply without being overwhelmed. In addition to color, crystal energy can amplify your intentions. Labradorite is a stone of intuition and protection, ideal for those times when you need to trust your inner compass more than the voices around you. It helps shield your energy from outside influence while also awakening your insight. Rose quartz, the stone of unconditional love, supports emotional healing and teaches you how to be kinder to yourself. And lapis lazuli, a deep royal blue stone, empowers you to speak your truth with elegance and conviction, something many Libras deeply value but sometimes struggle to do without self-doubt. These are not just accessories. They are small, daily reminders that healing doesn't always require deep excavation. Sometimes, it only asks for intention. Surrounding yourself with certain tones, textures, and symbols is a way of staying anchored in who you want to become, even on the days when you don't feel fully there yet. There's a quiet kind of wisdom in these gentle tools. It's the kind of wisdom that doesn't shout for attention, but waits for you to notice. And when you do, you realize, God never required you to fix everything at once, only to walk with awareness. Let your environment reflect your values. Let your choices, however subtle, remind you of the harmony you're here to restore. You're not becoming someone new. You're remembering someone ancient, and color, in its own language, is simply helping you find your way back. There are seasons when life asks you not to run forward, but to turn inward, not to chase more, but to choose better. When you've already received the signs, when the numbers have spoken, when your intuition has whispered and the tarot has revealed its path, what comes next is not more information. It's embodiment. And that begins with the gentle, daily practice of choosing yourself in ways that are quiet, deliberate, and grounded. Self-leadership, after all, is not about control. It's about choosing what aligns and walking away from what doesn't, even when it's familiar. Your body is the first place that alignment shows up or disappears. If your nervous system is constantly overstimulated, it becomes hard to hear the soft wisdom that comes from within. That's why one of the most healing practices you can do now is just 10 minutes a day of alternate nostril breathing, a simple yet powerful technique that regulates the nervous system, calms anxiety, and brings your thoughts back into rhythm. Libra thrives when energy moves smoothly. This breathwork helps you find internal symmetry again, especially when the world feels disjointed. Alongside breath, what you consume matters too. Not from a place of shame or discipline, but from devotion. Spicy foods and processed sugar can disrupt your inner calm just like toxic thoughts or chaotic relationships. Meanwhile, cucumber water, fresh greens, and mineral-rich meals don't just nourish your body, they soothe your inner field. Think of your food not just as fuel, but as energetic support. The more harmony you bring into your plate, the more easily your thoughts begin to mirror that harmony. Gentle movement like yoga, especially poses that connect you to the earth and sky, such as mountain pose or crescent moon, offer emotional regulation without overexertion. You don't need to push yourself to find clarity. You simply need to pause in a way that feels safe, supported, and steady. These small rituals become spiritual in themselves because they return you to yourself, over and over again. That's what divine preparation often looks like, not a leap, but a return. In your work life, you may start noticing a quiet discomfort, not because you're failing, but because you've outgrown something. The version of you that accepted certain compromises may no longer be in the room. And that's not failure. That's growth. If your current role or responsibilities feel misaligned, honor that feeling. It's okay to evolve. You're allowed to change direction, not out of confusion, but out of clarity. Begin asking, does this honor my core values, or does it only serve someone else's expectations of me? When you lead from your values, even your finances begin to follow that alignment. Learning to say no is one of the most spiritually mature things you can do, not in rebellion, but in respect. Saying no to what no longer fits creates sacred room for what is meant to arrive. If a job, an offer, or a commitment asks you to betray your peace or twist your integrity, trust that walking away is a win. Every time you say no to what depletes you, you say yes to what sustains you. And in love, this period is what I like to call a mirror moment. Things once blurred will come into focus. People who are in your life only for convenience will slowly fall away. Those who see you, support you, and hold your truth will grow closer. This is not about judgment, it's about resonance. Relationships that reflect back your strength and honesty will feel increasingly effortless. The rest will quietly dissolve. Let them. One beautiful practice you can do right now is to write a letter, one to the version of you 6 months ago, and one to the version you want to meet 6 months from now. Honor what you've survived. Speak into what you're creating. This simple act builds a bridge across your own transformation. It turns your journey into something sacred, not just a timeline, but a testimony. And if I could offer you one gentle reminder, it would be this: you don't need to fix everything to be worthy of the next chapter. You just need to be honest about what no longer belongs in your story. The most powerful form of self-leadership isn't in making everything perfect, it's in staying loyal to what's real for you, even when that choice is quiet. Even when it's uncomfortable. Keep returning to your center. It will never mislead you. And now, dear Libra, if you've made it this far, take a moment to truly honor what that means. It means something in you already knows, already senses that your life is being gently rearranged for something greater. Not because you need to prove yourself. Not because you have to strive harder. But because you're finally stepping into the version of you that was always meant to rise when the timing aligned. This moment isn't asking you to become someone new. It's inviting you to remember who you've always been, the soul that carries the codes of balance, beauty, wisdom, and grace in a world that so desperately needs your light. You don't need to fix every flaw or rewrite every chapter of your past to be worthy of what's next. You just need to stand in quiet agreement with what's already unfolding. The universe doesn't send signs to test you, it sends them to confirm you're on the path. Everything you've felt lately, the shifts in your body, the whispers in your intuition, the repeated numbers, the sudden clarity in your relationships, these are not random. They are sacred confirmations that you are arriving into the timeline that was created just for you. So I want you to pause and ask yourself gently, are you ready to stop dimming your own light just to keep things peaceful? Are you ready to stop sacrificing your center to please people who no longer align with your growth? And most importantly, are you ready to believe that your presence, exactly as it is enough to tip the scales in the world around you? Because the truth is, it is. You were never meant to blend in. You were meant to bring balance, not by force, but by embodiment. By being someone who moves through life with intention, with empathy, with clarity, and most of all, with the courage to choose what is right even when it's not easy. That is your gift. That is your power. And perhaps now is the perfect time to reflect on everything you've learned from this message. What is one choice, one small but meaningful shift that you feel called to make starting today? Maybe it's breathing deeper when your mind starts to spiral. Maybe it's having that honest conversation you've been putting off. Or maybe it's as simple as letting yourself rest without guilt. These actions might feel small, but they create energetic ripples that change everything. I want to thank you from the deepest part of my heart for being here, for choosing this space, and for showing up for yourself in a world that constantly asks you to forget your essence. Every like, every comment, every time you subscribe to Zodiac Whisper Tarot, you are not only supporting this channel, you are anchoring yourself deeper into your own spiritual path. And that means more than I could ever say. So if something within you moved during this reading, if you felt a stirring in your chest or a softness in your breath, I invite you to share it. Leave a comment below and let us know what angel number has been showing up for you, or what part of this message felt like it was meant just for you. Not just for engagement, but for affirmation. Because when we speak our truth, we activate it. And when one Libra rises in truth, it helps others do the same. May you walk forward with trust, not tension. May you hold your peace not as a performance, but as a posture. And may you remember, always, that you don't have to wait to be chosen, you already were. This world doesn't need a louder version of you. It needs the most authentic version of you. And that version is ready. So stay close. Stay awake. And I hope to see you in the next message.